This is a 124 scale Monkees Mobile from the TV show The Monkees. It came out in 1966, and it was inspired by the Beatles movie A Hard Day's Night, where they're running around crazy and silly, and the show was very silly, and they made music just for the TV show. The Monkees had some really good hits, and what I wanted to do was make a Monkees Mobile slot car. Now, this is another instance where there was no way I could find anything that was going to be 132 scale. So I had to go with the 124 scale slot car. So it only happened two other times. This one, the Mystery Machine, and the Ghostbusters, where I had no choice but to make it in 124 scale. So, and I wanted to make it. Now, let me show you what went into making this. Let's put this aside. So this is the kit. So once again, like I said before, 125, 124 scale kits are very prevalent. You could get any movie car, the Dukes of Hazzard, the Hillbillies, the Munsters Coach in that scale. But if you want to do 132, there's not a lot of choices. So what I wound up doing for this car is I got two model kits. All right, I got this model kit, which is a reissue of the original one that came out probably in the 60s. And I got this one, which is like a mail-away kit. And I believe this one came in white. And all the pieces were molded in white plastic. And I believe this one came in red. So what I did was I combined them without painting to get the red car with the cream-colored interior without painting. Now, I like this look. It almost looks like a 1960s toy. So I could paint it too, but I was really happy with this. It just has a really cool look to it. So let me show you what I tried to do that didn't work out. So what you'll see later on, the Munsters Coach is a 124 scale model, but I was able to take it and cut it down in 3 dimensions and make it into a 132 scale slot car. It came out probably the best thing I ever created. So I tried to do it here too. So I took the bigger model. So let's take a look at the comparison here. This is the original model. And this is what I tried to do, which would have been pretty good. This is the 124 scale model. This is the white version that I tried to cut down and make into 132 scale, just like I did with the Munsters Coach. So you can see I cut it in a lot of places to shorten it. You can see to thin it. It was coming along pretty good, but it was just so many places I cut it. And I might go back and finish this. So let's see, it was cut here and here. It looks like it was cut back here. A lot of places. Right here on the doors. In the front, through here. On both sides of the nose. So it was a lot of work. I think, sometimes you work on these things where I'm not happy with the way they're coming out. And then I put them aside, which is the key. And then when you come back, it says, oh, you know what? That's not as bad as I felt it was at the time. But I didn't finish this. I might finish it someday. So like I was saying, I got 2 kits, one molded in white and one molded in red. And I tried to do this, but it didn't quite pan out, so I did this. So what we have here is, now the key, like I say to every slot car looking cool, is the figures. So what are these figures? They're like a little bit bigger than a 132 scale. I'm always looking for anything I could use. And I found on a European site these tractor drivers. And these are the ones I actually use. They say 132 scale, but they're a little bit bigger. Perfect for this car. Came with 6. And just to show you, this is another set of drivers I bought from that same tractor place. And then I try to use these in different places. This was one I was fabricating for the Fab 1 car, which I didn't use him now. So we have 4 figures here. And what I did was I didn't do anything but paint their hair and their color of their hair in the same style. So this first guy is Peter Tork. It's got his hairstyle, right? Look at the long sideburns on this guy. That's Mike Nesmith. And then you have in the back here, he's supposed to be Mickey Dolenz, and I believe this is Davy Jones. And I cut his arm to make it look like he's waving. So I'll leave him aside for now. So what I have for this car too is, and I try and make everything modular like you've seen before. So if the car is without the roof, what I have here is the ability is to add the back seat in. So I would put the back seat has a little magnet on the side. And, whoops. And I would just add a magnet on this side, and that would hold that in. So, to give it a more complete look. Now, all this stuff is magnetized in. I went a little crazy. I had a lot of magnets from my magic project, but there's a lot of magnets going to work here. So there's a small magnet in their rears, and then these seats are even held on by a stack of magnets. All right, so very modular. And all the guys, so you can move the seats back and forth with that. So, they all come out. This is Mike Nesmith. So the figures are perfect. And then so it comes with the decal. It's a water slide decal. The car had a canopy. So what we do is we take this off, the back seat. That'll take off this magnet too. I like the magnets. And I have the top. So this doesn't need to be painted. This is the color of the kit. One of the colors was, like I said, the cream color of the white, and the other was the red. And then I make everything modular. You could say I use some styrene tube, and I use styrene tube here. And then it just slides in. So it goes into those little holes, if I could get it. Yep. Okay. And that's pretty cool. Right? Pretty cool. Very modular. The back is very cool. It has a parachute. It's got a chrome license plate or clear plastic piece. It's got a nice gas cap. So, like I said, I used 2 different models and I didn't paint it. And but it still looks pretty cool. Like up front here, I could paint these pieces black in there. And it would look, pretty cool. But I really didn't paint anything other than this gold here. I used a clear gold, which came out really cool. The other thing that's really interesting is, look at the motor. I put it on like a sheet of tin, and it's held in with magnets. I don't even know how this is going to come apart. So let's see here. How is that working? Oh, wow. There you go. That is cool. I'm sorry, but that is too cool. I didn't even know. I surprised myself. That's funny. So that is pretty cool, right? So then you could just so it's almost like a Lego, right? I made this like a Lego. I didn't expect that. That was pretty cool. I could see why I did that. That's worth it. That's not going to come out. Let me show you the parts. These are the same kind of parts I used on the Mystery Machine. So key to making this car was having the right size, larger size parts. So we started with the slotting plus 70 millimeter axles. I don't even know if they're trimmed down or not. Maybe a little bit. And then we needed 2 sets of these wheels, which are almost 18 millimeter wheels, which are very big. Then I spun down the wheels that came with the model kit and slid them in. For the guide, we used, once again, a Scale Auto guide, the Deep Club guide. And let's see, this one has a spring in it. Some of them come with springs, some of them don't. That's a spring guide. And for the tires, I use these Mythos tires. So these are Raid tires. It comes 4 in a pack. They're rubber tires. They work great on the track, and they look fine. This is like almost like a beach mobile, right? They were down, by the beach in California and stuff. So let's take a look at the chassis. So I used a slotted adjustable chassis. I think it's called the HRS2. And I did a angle winder. We haven't seen many angle winders. A nice angle winder with a very good boxer motor. That's called a long can motor. We have the angle winder guide. Of course, it's red and it's matching the car, as you know I like to do. And really well done. So now this is a big car. So I had this part right here. You can see from that point to that point was added a piece of styrene plastic. So I melded that in there pretty well. And I've done that for the a couple of cars. I did that for the Ghostbusters, a real big piece, and for the Batmobile. And then the rest of this is just typical parts that come with the HRS chassis. And then we have in there some nice red Ninko guide wire, which, looks good. I'm sure the pieces slide on. It's got those little clips, bayonet clips, I think they call it, rather than soldering those on. Okay, looking at this, I reminded me too, I used a long can motor here because the mounts for the, the positive and negative are on the side here, and they wouldn't have come in contact with this part here. If I use the short can motor, it's on top. so that wouldn't have worked as well. And I really didn't want to cut up the interior. So that's the HRS2 chassis with the extension. I wanted to show you guys how I mounted the body to the chassis. So I'll do that right now. This is mounted with two 2-56 size nylon screws. I'll take them out. One. This one is mounted through, a lot of times I'll mount up here, but this one, the motor was there, right? So I could have done that, but I wanted to mount it here, so I put a hole right through the plate. You're right. And then when I'm taking this off now, it's really strongly attached because all those magnets in the seat probably affects the motor. Probably not in a good way, but maybe, I don't know. But the thing is, like I'm saying, I'm not, racing this or even running it. It's just more of a tribute piece. So that's the chassis. So these are the screws I buy. I get them from McMaster Car. I'm going to do another video and get the part numbers of the different nylon screws. I have these, I think a machine head, and I have flat head. And I'll also get in that video the part numbers for the evergreen plastics. So this is the evergreen plastics I use to mount it in two places. So this first one is, the fatter one helps with the mounting because it's a more area to glue on. It gives it a little more stability. So I'll mount that first. I'll use a heavy duty CA glue, and I'll, like a gel glue, and then I'll put it down, then maybe use a little brush on glue around it to get a really good mount. And then this piece here is easier now to work with because I could adjust it through here, like as far as up and down, or I could just sand it. So this helps me with getting the height exactly right. And with this system, I get the height really good. So and then inside there, so there are two square tubes, and I'll get the part numbers, like I said, and inside there is a round tube, and I use a 256 tap to thread that. So the screws go in really nice. And using nylon screws is good because they're a little forgiving. So if things are off a little bit, they can bend a little bit, so that's good. And then here in the front, I had to put this piece across because there was a void in here. So like I said, I'll get into, I'll look at even here, I'm using the same system to mount the interior to the body. So I use a lot, and use this system a lot. Evergreen with the nylon screws. Now back here, I had talked about I didn't really fasten this too well. So, maybe I'll look at I could do that same thing back here and pull that in tighter. But like I said, I'm just going to put it on the shelf for now. I have lots of other projects, and I definitely wanted to show you guys that. And like I said, there'll be another video coming exclusively on how I do this kind of mounting. I'll show it in a lot of different cars too, how I did it. Now this is based on a GTO, I believe. So this is a modified GTO. Alexa, who made the Monkees Mobile?
The Monkey Mobile was designed and built by Dean Jeffries in 1966, using a 1966 Pontiac GTO as its base. Jeffries was under contract with Model Products Corporation at the time, and the car became an iconic symbol of the show alongside the band itself.
So interesting. It's a very cool model, right? So Dean Jeffries created this for the show, but he also created it for model, the MPC.
Dean Jeffries creating the Monkey Mobile. He designed it for the TV show and was under contract with Model Products Corporation, which had exclusive rights to produce the Monkey Mobile model kits. Over 7 million of these model kits were sold.
So interestingly, it was all like a big marketing thing. The model with the car, so it was a GTO, a Pontiac GTO. They got benefit from it. Then the model kit company sold millions of copies. Now,
you're absolutely right. The Monkey Mobile was a brilliant marketing collaboration
here we go.
between Pontiac, Model Products Corporation, and the show's producers. Two 1966 Pontiac GTO convertibles were supplied and transformed into the iconic Monkey Mobile.
Now the kit I bought is not by MPC, it's by AMT. So it must have been It must have been reissued, the one I have. It says AMT Ertl. And this would fit underneath the lap counter in the bridge, because if I put it next to the mystery machine, which was just about fitting under, it's got a decent amount here, like about an inch at least. So it should fit under no problem. Okay, the 132 scale track with the 124 scale car. So this car is big for this track. I could run at least one of these cars. Perform really nice through there, and really nice through there, especially for a big car. So it's hitting the air really well. I'm going to be really careful as we're coming out over there. So we'll set our best lap now. Try one more. I don't want to push it into that bank because it's coming out. We'll try one more to do really well. Really nice through the S's and through this tight action. Very nice. That was good. All right, we're going to try it without the roof. It should make it a little faster because it's not going to be top heavy. So let's see what we can do. I'm having a problem on the straightaway. I got to go really slow through there. Good still with the four drivers. You don't see too many cars, slot cars with four, a driver and 3 passengers, one of them waving. All right, let's see if I can beat that lap. There we go. So I think I could do even better. Let's see. Gotta watch it right there. I brake up just enough. Here we come in. Oh, he got stuck there. All right. Whoa, it's silly with that little slowdown area. All right, we can do better. All right, I can't come out there. There we go. That's better. Yes, one more time. Oh, and the monkey spill. Okay, I'm back at the workbench, and the car did pretty good. It definitely was faster without the roof on it. We kind of expected that. It's not that heavy, but you really don't want too much weight too high in the car. I did have a problem at the track. This piece fell off pretty quickly, so rather than looking for the pieces and putting it back together, I just did a quick adjustment to stay at the track. So what this is the HRS chassis I use by Slotted, HRS2, and it gives you these different pieces. Right now, I have the axle going through the piece that does the guide flag, but they give you this as well so you can make them independent so that I could have that guide flag maybe back more. It might be too forward because the car was de-slotting after that long straight. And then, like I said, they also give you this in 2 widths and this in 2 widths. So there's a lot of flexibility when you buy that chassis. So I'll put that back in now. Slotted this is old, it's yellowing, but Slotted used to sell parts in these little containers, and I kept some of them, and then I have in here. Oh, these are all Slotted only parts, so I definitely have the nuts in there, and I only need one nut, and I probably have the bolts too, so I'll do that. This is real important. So, I like to make these things modular, and, this is put together almost like Lego. Like a lot of this stuff is press fit in there, and that includes these pieces here. Now, I don't know if I could get it out, but when it was crashing, going along the long straight, this piece kept falling out. Okay, there. I could do maybe a little white glue. I just have it press fit in there, and it's not a snap kit. Let me push it in better. It's a pain in the neck to get out. So when I was on the track, I ran into a problem with this here coming out, and it was rubbing against the tire. Yeah, you could see the tire pieces in there of the rubber. So it was rubbing when I was doing some of the laps. So that was a problem. When I came back to adjust that front end piece, I noticed that and made sure it was snapped in. All right, so this is the 124 scale Monkees Mobile, made from the 125th scale model. 2 different models, and it's a slot car, and it goes around the track very well.